Here we go.
Verbal or life.
Happy Saturday. My name is Noel, and the stock market is doing great. And they don't know how to deal with it because just a month ago, they said it was going to crash and we were going to have a horrible summer. But Trump is coming through with his promises, and all they're doing is calling him a liar and saying that the man just lies. When they fail to see that the man is negotiating, and that's how you negotiate at that level. All right, going up against so many countries, you got to say one thing and then do another. Again, helping regular people, not helping other countries. Why should he help other countries? But in any case, my name is Noel here at Verbal on Life, Fisticuffs. Make sure to give it a like, and let's take a look at Jesse Waters Primetime, giving us the latest as to what's going on. All right, here we go. Take a look.
Donald Trump's best week ever just got even better. A big win at the Supreme Court and a big loss for rogue liberal judges. Small ball district judges are no longer allowed to stop the president's agenda.
Thank God, because you think about it, small judges are putting a stop to anything the president was trying to do. Like, how are you going to judge for the entire nation? Whatever happens to the federal government at that level, right? How can district or governments, or I'm sorry, governors at the lower level say anything about it? So, big win for Trump. Big win for America, actually.
Liberal lawyers can't sue every time Trump acts and get an Obama-Biden judge to issue a nationwide injunction.
It's crazy.
The ruling was 6-3. Trump stopped by the briefing room to take a victory lap.
Well, this was a big one, wasn't it? This was a big decision. This morning, the Supreme Court has delivered a monumental victory for the Constitution, the separation of powers, and the rule of law. It gives power back to people that should have it, including Congress, including the presidency. And it only takes bad power away from judges. It really doesn't take power. It takes bad power, sick power, and unfair power. And it's really going to be, this is a very monumental decision.
Bondi was there, and she said the nation just got a lot safer.
You should all feel safer now that President Trump can deport all of these gangs, and not one district court judge can think they're an.
I feel safe. You let me know how do you feel, because Trump needs to do this. We got a bunch of criminals just roaming around the country. No, we got to follow the rules, because, hey, I want to be able to go to the store and not have to worry about a criminal. Think about that. So, yes, I feel safe.
Emperor over this administration and his executive powers, and why the people of the United States elected him.
Among other things, rogue judges were stopping Trump from eliminating birthright citizenship. So after this ruling, birthright citizenship is getting fast-tracked to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Justices hear the case in October.
Thanks for this decision, and thanks to this decision, we can now promptly file to proceed with numerous policies that have been wrongly enjoined on a nationwide basis. And some of the cases we're talking about would be ending birthright citizenship, which now comes to the fore. That was meant for the babies of slaves. It wasn't meant for people trying to scam the system and come into the country on a vacation.
I hated that, the fact that we got to follow the rules, but if you know how to trick the rules, how to break it without getting caught, then good for you. But how about no? How about we all follow the rules, all right? That's the fair way of doing things. This is crazy, and it's a big win for everybody, not just Trump.
Lawfare is officially dead. Frivolous lawsuits were the only thing slowing down the Trump agenda. With Democrats out of power, radical lawyers were the only resistance. Finally, a random judge in Maryland isn't more powerful than the president of the United States.
This is a big win for President Trump.
Such a big win for the Trump administration. Yeah. And not just Donald John Trump, the person, but the office of the president. Whoever comes next is going to get the benefit of this ruling too.
Doge cuts, so-called anchor babies, sanctuary cities, banning child sex change surgeries, all get free and fair hearings at the Supreme Court immediately. The Supreme Court just admitted Trump wasn't abusing his power. out of control judges were. They lost the case and the moral high ground. More good news for America. The stock market just hit an all-time high today.
Yeah.
Sorry, Panikins. And top economists are confessing that Trump was right about tariffs.
Mr. President, a leading global economist just did a 180 and says your tariff plan, you may have outsmarted everybody with it. What is your message?
I love this. I love this question. This is the favorite. This is the best question I've ever been asked because I've been going through abuse for years on this. Because as you know, we're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars, no inflation whatsoever.
It didn't end there. Gas prices just hit 4-year lows right before summer. So cheap that Congress can drive to work next week to watch Trump sign his big, beautiful bill.
Everyone working together, Leader Thune, Speaker Johnson, with President Trump's assistance, have been able to move narrow majorities forward.
Thank God we got finance negotiator or chief negotiator in chief, right? The man is running the country and he knows how to make deals that benefit Americans, finally.
And I think we're going to be able to bring this home. The president will be signing the bill on July 4th.
You know what goes well with beer, barbecue, and fireworks? No tax on tips. Trump isn't even taking credit for it. He's giving it to a beautiful waitress.
I will never say good-looking waitress because looks don't matter anymore, you know, in our modern society. She happened to be beautiful, but I won't say that. I won't mention that. But nevertheless, a waitress came over, and I said, "How are you doing?" She said, "Not good, sir." "Why?" "The government is killing me on tips." And she looked at me, she said, "Sir, there should be no tax on tips." I said, "Say it again." "There should be no tax on tips." I said, "That's the coolest thing I've ever heard."
Now, the media.
Taxes in general is the government stealing from the hardworking people, right? We are at a level that everything is getting taxed. So basically, we're paying the government for everything. So yes, no tax on tip. Let's go, man. Trump win after win. The man just doing better.
Media wouldn't let him leave. Donald Trump was in the briefing room for an hour. That's more time in one day than Biden was in the briefing room his whole term.
By the way, so many questions. Should we keep this going, Pam? This is the opposite of Biden. Biden would take a half a question and he'd leave without answering it.
He didn't stop there.
Yes.
Today, he signed another peace deal, this time in Africa. Rwanda and the Congo came to the White House to end their 30-year war. The peace treaty was brokered by Trump and Rubio, and the Africans say Biden just hung up the phones on them.
Many American presidents overlooked this conflict. They didn't do nothing. Even myself, I covered President Biden's administration. I pressed many times about this conflict. People are dying in Congo. This country has so much potential, but they need help because this war is destroying the country.
Right.
They never gave me any answer.
I shouldn't say this because it's politically incorrect. She said, "She's beautiful and you are beautiful." I'm not allowed to say that, you know, that could be the end of my political career, but I said it anyway. But you are beautiful and you're beautiful inside.
Soon, Africa will be calling him daddy, too. Of course, Trump got a little something from the deal, the M word.
Was able to get them together and sell it. And not only that, we're getting for the United States a lot of the mineral rights from the Congo as part of it. They're so honored to be here. They never thought they'd be coming to, look, this is a very tough part of the world. They never thought, they were just telling me, they never thought they'd ever be coming to the White House.
It was a historic day at the White House. But Canada was in the room, and they tried to make it all about themselves.
Why not? Why not Canada, by the way? Why?
I love the fact that Trump just put a stop to whatever the hell he was saying.
I mean,
Because this is about a different subject right now. This is right now actually a much more important subject. We just ended a war that was going on for 30 years where 6 million people died. So don't ask me a trade question on Canada.
Yeah.
The only way Canada can get our attention, 51st state, or we can't hear you. We're too busy doing deals.
We've had a big week. You know, we've had a big week. We've had a lot of victories this week. NATO was a tremendous victory. The war was a tremendous. Look, we were talking about this for 30 years, about Iran being nuclear. And all I said is it will not be nuclear, and it's not going to be nuclear. And You know, I want to give credit to a lot of people, and most importantly to our great military. Boy, they put out that fire. Once that happened, once those bombs got dropped, that war was over. That war was over. But I just want to compliment them.
You know who isn't having a big week? The Ayatollah. He's hiding in his cave and he's lying through his teeth.
I'm going to respond to the Ayatollah's statement yesterday that we won the war. Oh, God, we won the war. And I said, look, you're a man of great faith, a man who's highly respected in this country. You have to tell the truth. You got beat to hell. As you know, their sites were obliterated. They're very evil nuclear sites. They were now has been proven. They hit it right down in the spot, 52,000 feet. Think of this dark, no moon. You couldn't see a thing. And they hit the refrigerator door, as they say. That's the size of a target. And overwhelmingly. And it's amazing what was done. We're the only ones that could have done it.
Donald Trump says he's the only thing keeping the Ayatollah alive. Quote, I wish the leadership of Iran would realize that you often get more with honey than you do with vinegar. Peace. Democrats are singing the same tune as the Ayatollah. They say our bombs don't work, and they don't say thank you.
They're just finding something to attack them. I mean, that's it. There is no position. There is no goal. There is no set of ideas. It is just, what can we find a way to attack Trump?
Yo, that is so crazy that all they got is attack Trump. And that's it. Whenever they talk to the public or to the people, they just try to make people feel bad, right? They talk about race, DEI, racism. They won't shut up about that and Trump. They need a stronger message. And finally, with social media, it is incredibly hard for them to put out a good message. So we live in some crazy times.
How can we say that he's a failure or what he did is not a success? Or I just at this point kind of, you start to lose credibility when on every single instance, you're just saying, nope, not good. Nope, not good. Nope, not good.
Trump gave a beautiful waitress credit for no tax on tips. Why can't Democrats give him credit for the Iranian hit? The party split. Some are calling the president a war criminal, and others are calling him an American hero.
I don't agree with the president of the United States. Do not, on many, many issues. But you have to admire that when the United States says all options are on the table, he just proved all options on the table.
Yep.
And China and Russia and even North Korea have to step back because that has a level of deterrence. So the blast radius of this goes much farther.
Yep.
Democrats have to face the music. There's only one commander in chief, and he conducted quite a week.
The man is good, coming through with his promises, and he knows how to run the country. Thank God he won the first time, paused the second time around, and now he's back in office, doing great.
Charlie Kirk. So, Charlie, how would you rank this week in the presidencies of Donald J. Trump?
It's one of the most remarkable and noteworthy. You know, I've known President Trump for over a decade now, and there's been a lot of ups and downs. And if you look at how steady and poised and composed he was in that briefing room, what a contrast from Trump 1.0 when you had Jim Acosta constantly interrupting him and he was facing the Mueller investigation. As President Trump says, he went from being the hunted to the hunter. And think about all the things the media was wrong about in just the last week, let alone the last couple of years. They were wrong about Iran and Israel. They were wrong about nuclear weapons. They were wrong about Fordo. They were wrong about President Trump's leadership as commander-in-chief. And now they've been wrong about the economy and tariffs. They were wrong about President Trump's capacity to broker peace. And you look back, they've been wrong about the open border. They were wrong about President Trump not being able to win back the election. And instead of trusting the experts, I think in politics, we should just trust President Trump. His instincts here are phenomenal.
Trump was right. And every day, television, they never say that on CNN. They're scared to say it. Trump was right and keeps being right.
Trump 2.0 is better than anybody could have imagined. And Jesse, it is so comforting to see a president that is able to take questions from the media. And did you notice in that briefing room, the media almost is, they're kind of warming up slightly to him in the sense where it's not as antagonistic. It's a little more conversational, a little more respectful.
It feels so normal for him to be in the press room talking to the press. It feels like that's how he's supposed to be. We never saw Biden doing that or Obama doing it that much. Like, this feels so normal. Like, we have a president that is accountable, that's out there talking. How weird is this? Like, it feels correct, and it's only weird because it never happens.
Because even if you hate him, President Trump has commanded the respect from even his harshest critics.
You can definitely sense the respect is back. There's no doubt about that, Charlie. The Supreme Court, tell me what you think it does with the Trump agenda now.
Oh, what it does is it liberates the Trump agenda. First of all, President Trump, he employed a brilliant legal strategy, which was to go shock and awe right out of the gate with some of the most front-facing legal executive orders, such as birthright citizenship, declaring the Mexican cartels as terrorist organizations, so that any of these that might get enjoined, we can get that solved quickly. Instead of having to go through a multi-year process of where the entire administration is basically in paralysis, we can then get to work. We are now going to be able to finally see President Trump's agenda get supercharged. You accompany that with the big, beautiful bill.
And it's nice that he knew that there were going to be so many people in the deep state, so many judges that are going to go against him, try to delay everything, that he went full force, putting everything forward, and now bringing in the Supreme Court, which we all know are super slow, but they're speeding up, doing things quickly before it's too late. So Trump is doing everything super fast. It feels fast only because normally the government is slow. And everybody excuses the government, like, it shows the government, they're slow. They don't get paid that much. And that's why they work so slow. But no, they don't have to work so slow. Trump is going at light speed, scaring the hell out of everybody.
Bill, the best days are going to start happening immediately. And think about the profundity and the significance what we saw in the Supreme Court. No more are we going to be able to see these widespread nationwide injunctions for something that should just happen in a singular district court. Remember, they did this with Abrego Garcia. They did this with birthright citizenship. They did this with the trans executive order, which stopped the medical mutilation of our children in hospitals across the country under gender affirming care. And so what this does more than anything else is this allows us to fulfill the promise that voters gave President Trump back in November. Dare I say it? It allows democracy to reign free in this country.
So if Democrats don't have lawfare in their arsenal, what do they have, and how are they going to spend the next 3.5 years?
They got to figure out how to tell the truth, tell people the truth, and how to convince people that they're on their side, that they're going to help more people. That's it. If they don't have a convincing speech, convincing words, then it's not going to work. But the truth is the only thing that's going to set them free. Because Trump, that man is watching TV all day, every day, putting down any fires he sees on television and putting out the truth as he sees it, as the people sees it. So the Democrat better figure out how are they going to speak into the camera and be honest with people and stop robbing regular people, just taking millions with taxes.
Great question. The last remnant of Democrat resistance will be the administrative state. So the first kind of vanguard was these lawsuits and the injunctions using Article 3. The last remaining one is the administrative state or the deep state. They're going to try leaks. And we saw that this week, Jesse. It's very important. They're going to try to leak on everything President Trump does. So President Trump has to be careful. Are they listening to your phone call? Are they recording you secretly? I don't want to try to introduce paranoia, but they are going to be very desperate after this decision from the Supreme Court. They're going to have defiance. They're going to walk off the job. And they're also going to do something more subtle. They're going to try to slow walk. The bureaucracy, they are masters at this. They try to run out the clock. Oh, sure, you want an executive order on this thing on the border. We'll get to it next decade.
And people got to get arrested. Like those who are leaking, investigation got to move forward. Now that Trump got a better handle of the FBI and all the other agencies, they should investigate these people, find out who is part of the bureaucracy, who is leaking out information, and who needs to be made an example of. Because whoever they arrest, they got to put them on TV so other people can get scared. Like, yo, he is arresting people. This is crazy. And more people got to fear Trump. It's the truth.
You see, the bureaucracy, they are experts at trying to delay and trying to slow down. President Trump, he is going at Trump time. He's going at high velocity and high speed. And so the last fight, the biggest fight of this entire presidency, which will determine whether or not we, the people, are in charge or whether or not an unelected shadow government in charge, is that against the fourth branch of government.
All right. Great analysis, Charlie Kirk. Turning Point USA, as always. Have a great weekend, Charlie.
And all I'm going to say is, I think Trump is going to win that fight. And he better win. Make our country better and make the future look better. Like, in the end, if he comes out with a balanced economy and balances the budget, man, this man is going to keep getting wins after wins. And then we're going to have to vote for another Republican for the next term, for the 2028 election. Because right now, while the Democrats are lost, did you see who they picked for New York City? A socialist. Socialism doesn't work. Only for young people, socialism works because you don't know anything about it. The difference between the young people and the older people is that the older people got more experience. They know a little better because of experience. Young people, they think they're smart, know it all, but they lack that experience. And so they may believe socialism is going to help, but it's not. We want less government. All right, let's finish this.
You too. Thanks.
Oh, the clause.
What else?
We're out at the Supreme Court today. The court ruled 6-3 that judges need to let the president do his job.
Yep.
But Ketanji Brown Jackson threw a temper tantrum, writing, quote, "It is not difficult to predict how this all ends. Eventually, executive power will become completely uncontainable, and our beloved constitutional republic will be no more." She goes on to say, to the majority, the power-hungry actors are, wait for it, the district courts. That's not all. In her official remarks, she says, courts must have the power to order everyone, including the executive, to follow the law, full stop. Wait for it, full stop?
Yeah, full stop. What is this? This is supposed to be a freaking Supreme Court justice. You're supposed to have better vocabulary. How about better sentences? And how about better ideas? What are you talking about? That the supreme being of the United States should be the judges? They're the ones ruling everything, including the president that we all elected? Man, she does not belong there. But it's a lifetime tenure, so we're going to have to deal with this maniac for the rest of her life. And she's young, so prepare yourself.
She sounds like a sassy teenager, not a Supreme Court justice. So Amy Coney Barrett, in an unprecedented smackdown, shut Ketanji down. Quote, "We will not dwell on Justice Jackson's argument, which is at odds with more than 2 centuries worth of precedent, not to mention the Constitution itself. We observe only this. Justice Jackson decries an imperial executive while embracing an imperial judiciary. Biden gave birth to Justice Jackson, and we have to live with her for the rest of her life." And sources say everyone on the Supreme Court thinks she's Joy Reid in a robe. Outkick.com founder Clay Travis, what is the significance of this smackdown for Justice Jackson?
It's unprecedented, and it's particularly unprecedented because these judges have lifetime tenure and they're not that old in the grand scheme of things. So they may have to work together for the next 30 years. And basically, Amy Coney Barrett said, Ketanji Brown Jackson, you are a huge moron. And by the way, she's right, because I jotted these things down. Part of Ketanji Brown Jackson's argument was that it required too much boring legalese to analyze the law, and it was a mind-numbingly technical query. Let me tell you something, Jesse. I practiced law for a few years.
Yeah.
That's what being a lawyer is. All right. So if you're a judge and you're upset because there's too much legalese and there's too much mind-numbingly technical query, maybe find another job, because the Supreme Court justice's law of the land is enmeshed in that every single day. And frankly, I have never seen a analysis of a dissent like this, because she specifically, Amy Coney Barrett, writing for the majority, pulled out Sotomayor and Kagan and respected their analysis, even if she disagreed with it, which is what usually happens in these cases. and then just utterly eviscerated Ketanji Brown Jackson, basically asking, how in the world did you ever pass the bar? That was the tenor with which this opinion was written.
It's like saying,
I gotta say,
it's like
Justice
a boxer
Scalia would have loved it.
It's like a boxer saying, you know what? I don't like hitting people or getting hit. I mean, you're a boxer.
You know what? She comes off as a DEI hire. Like when you're hired based on your gender and skin color, that is the worst decision ever. Because how about we hire her based on skills? I mean, when she tried to get the job, but she went on TV and she couldn't define what a woman was. To me, that alone should have got her fired or not given that job. Just the fact that you couldn't just say it, like be an adult, be the adult in the room, and really just define what a woman is. So based on that alone, she should have never been hired. But again, back when Biden was in office, it was all about DEI hire. Worst mistake ever. Now we got to deal with this maniac.
Boxer. That's what you're supposed to do for a living. And they have to live with each other, like you said. It's like you move in with your roommate first year of college and you hate them the first day. How are they going to get along?
I don't think they're going to get along very well. And I think this is supremely important because it hasn't been talked about enough. Yes, this was a 6-3 decision, and it will apply to every president, Democrat, Republican, Independent, for the rest of our lives and probably for hundreds of years going forward, which makes the histrionics from Ketanji Brown Jackson's opinion all the more ridiculous. But we have to thank President Trump. You asked Charlie Kirk. I think this is the best week of Trump's presidential life. I mean that. Iran, S&P 500 hits an all-time record, and these Supreme Court opinions. 6-3 sounds like a big majority. Jesse, if Hillary Clinton had won in 2016, these cases would have been decided 5-4 or 6-3 the other way. I mean, as important as these decisions are, it's only by the grace of God and President Trump's first term that we're getting these results. Otherwise, Crazy Town would have taken over.
Clay Travis, you wouldn't know by looking at him, but he is a constitutional scholar. Clay, have a great weekend.
I am indeed. I'm open for the Supreme Court.
Kristi Noem inside Alligator Alcatraz.
Let me pause it, but yes, it's crazy that we have to deal with her now for the rest of her life, pretty much the rest of our lives, man. We're living in some crazy time. But real quick, before continuing, let me read some comments here. Shout out to Amber, who wrote down, Democrats are teaching their kids that they shouldn't vote for presidential candidates who were found guilty of what? Of felonies and found liable for fraud and sexual abuse. It's insane. Look at what they're teaching their kids, man. You know why? Because the media news and the Democratic Party put all these charges against Trump. Felonious charges that we all knew weren't going to stick or weren't going to hold up. You know, even he got found guilty of those 34 charges. So now making him a felon, but excused because he became the president. It's ridiculous. All of that just not to let Trump become the president of the United States. But hopefully those kids will grow up, read a book or two, and learn the reality of things. All right? Now, parents may be wrong in looking at this whole thing. They really were picking on Trump just to not let him get elected. All right, what else did? Another comment here by, again, Amber. Shout out to Amber. Wrote down, Q2 ends in 2 days. If there's another consecutive quarter of negative GDP growth, the last quarter, a recession will be official. The last thing any Republican wants is a Trump recession. So, my opinion, we're not going to get a recession. All right, things are getting better and better and looking good. All right, I completely understand your point. Very good. Thank you so much, Amber. But things are getting nothing but better. All right, Trump is the top negotiator and the guy that we need making these deals. He knows how to make all these tariff deals and make China collaborate with us. Yo, everything is just making Trump look good. So if the next quarter in 2 days is a positive one, we're going to do great. Actually, all we need is the Fed chair to what? Lower interest rate. So like that, making loans cheaper, so we could borrow more money and make the country better and better. The guy just seems like a Democratic pick that wants Trump to fail. I forgot the guy's name, but the federal chair that Trump is going to convince to quit. He's not going to fire him, but he'll just keep picking on him until the guy quits. But again, thank you, Amber, for those 2 comments. And let's just finish up watching Jesse Water Primetime. And then I'll continue making comments after this.
Day to be a bad hombre.
Illegal crossings in the border are 0 now.
0. Does everyone hear that? 0. Trump 2028.
Do you intend President Trump?
Who's that guy? I like him. He's working the cameras.
The border's so dead, Melusion's been in Manhattan all week, sipping lattes with Perino. Bearded Homan's been deporting illegals faster than you can say adios. His ICE fans are racking up major mileage, more than Biden's caravans. But Democrats, they just want to slash his tires.
Unlike the current mayor, I'm not going to be working alongside the Trump administration to build the single largest deportation force in American history. I'm going to actually represent each and every New Yorker, and that includes
New Yorkers want the illegal gone. What the hell is this guy talking about? He better not win the mayor race. This guy is insane, and only young people could see value in this guy. Regular, normal people who knows what's going on see this as BS. This is all BS. All right, we don't want more illegals in the country. Well, in New York City, that is.
immigrant New Yorkers.
Others want to doge the entire ICE army.
But I think it's important to understand this is important to hear that immigrant communities have been saying since 2003 that ICE has been rogue and it has not followed people's constitutional rights.
How does this lady has a job? How can she work for the government and talk against ICE? You know, this is like a government agency that needs protected, that needs help in capturing illegal migrants. And she's going to talk against them? Man, this is crazy. The fact that she's hired is crazy.
Does abolish ICE go too far, though?
Not for me.
The media is aiding and abetting foreign criminals. The LA Times just ran a how-to on smuggling your nanny past ICE.
Do you have a nanny or other household worker? You might be unsure how to help them right now as the ICE raids continue across LA. Know your rights. Remember that ICE cannot enter your home without a warrant. A lot of nannies are taking a big risk by going to work right now. Consider offering them paid leave. And if you can't, you might offer to accompany them to a bus stop or pay for a taxi to help them get to work safely.
Limousine liberals in LA want to keep their Spanish nannies. But Trump's not into nannies. Doug is. He's going after criminal illegals like the Maryland dad. But where are we going to put these Maryland dads? Until we pass the big, beautiful bill, we don't have enough beds. That's why El Salvador made a great Motel 8.
We've had a great relationship with El Salvador. They have a fantastic leader.
Yeah.
They built a massive prison system.
Yeah.
And I don't know exactly why, but it's a hell of a system. And we bring people there, and when they go there, they don't get out. And frankly, when they hear they have to go there, they become very nice people. They become very nice people. It's a tough system, but it's a brilliant system.
It works.
But now CCOT's got competition. Alligator Alcatraz. DeSantis is launching the detention center with swamp security. They had an open house this morning. Watch.
I mean, this is going to be, illegals will come in, they'll be processed. There'll be places for them to be housed. You'll have an ability for food. You'll have an ability for them to consult legal rights if they have that, because there is a process that's involved with this. So this is really everything. This is going to be a self-contained little area. And then, of course, you also have stuff for the staff that work here. So we've got laundry facilities, we've got showers, we've got, obviously, there you see the shower and bath facility. And by Tuesday, this will be able to have intake of illegals.
Jose better not bust out a crock rock. If he does, he better bring his flippers because ice skaters are lurking.
This is as secure as it gets. I mean, if a criminal alien were to escape from here somehow, and I don't think they will, you've got nowhere to go. I mean, what are you going to do? Trudge through the swamp and dodge alligators?
You can hear a bunch of people already complaining about this, about we got to protect criminal rights and help them out as much as possible. But I think that rhetoric is over. All right, talking like that, people are waking up to that BS and know that, hey, these are criminals, committed crime, consciously committed crime, and therefore, I agree with this. Nothing but the best jail system with alligators around it. Why not?
Gators on the way back to 50, 60 miles just to get to civilization. Not going to happen.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem joins me now. Okay, Secretary, we had a little problem with some criminal migrants up in New Jersey. They broke out of a detention center. Was the idea to put it near a swamp so it was more secure and you didn't really have to have the taxpayers pay extra for security?
Well, ever since President Trump came into office, he encouraged us to build relationships with governors and with local law enforcement to go out there and help us with these enforcement activities. So we've been doing that on arrests and detainments. And now this is absolutely fantastic. This first idea came to us from the Attorney General of Florida, who approached us with the idea. Governor DeSantis is following through on it. I think it's absolutely perfect because this is a state that is stepping up. And I have recently gone to the Republican Governors Association and gone and talked to all the governors in this country about how they can help us more get criminals off of our streets. And Florida is helping us out with detention beds and helping us get people that we have detained in a situation to where they can get on a flight and get out of this country. And listen, Jesse, by you calling these guys bad hombres, they really are. I was talking to a U.S. Marshal just yesterday, and he was talking about the fact that they were deporting a plane load of illegals, and one of them was a cannibal. And he kind of said it offhanded. And I said to him, what do you mean it was a cannibal? And he said, well, we put him on the plane, put him in his seat, and he started to eat his own arms. He was such a deranged individual. This is the kind of people that President Trump is getting off of our streets, people who are murderers and rapists and are deranged individuals that we are working to get out of this country as fast as possible. So alligator Alcatraz is the future. This is states who are stepping up and helping us solve this problem of making sure that when we arrest these people, they have somewhere to go to be processed so that we can get them out of this country and face the consequences for their crimes.
Secretary, was this bad hombre like handcuffed to something and he was trying to chew his arm off so he could escape? Or was he just hungry?
You know, what bothered me the most was that this U.S. Marshal just said it like it was normal. These are the kind of people they have to work with every single day when they're deporting people out of this country. So they had him, put him on the plane and had him in shackles for the flight because he was such a dangerous individual. And when he got back to his seat and put another individual in the seat close to him, he said he literally was eating his own arms. That for him, he was, that is what he did. He called himself a cannibal, ate other people, and ate himself that day. Well, they had to take him off of the flight and get him medical attention, and then he went back into the system. But they have what our law enforcement do, what our ICE officers and Border Patrol, these marshals, what they do is God's work. It really is. They are bringing our communities much more safety. And I'll be down at Alligator Alcatraz here in just a couple of days when it opens. I'll be there to see the first people processed, and I'm looking forward to it because this is what we need. The federal government and the same old contractors and the same old people who've always done this job for years and years isn't always the answer. The taxpayers deserve to have a partnership that's responsive to people, that's affordable, that does it to a very high standard. And that is exactly what Florida is doing here.
All right. Well, we look forward to you breaking ground on this facility. And maybe the president was right when he was saying they're opening up the insane asylums and sending them across the border. I think this proves that. I think the media should listen up to your story about the cannibal. Secretary, have a great weekend. Thank you so much. We'll be right back.
That's crazy. That's level of criminals that most people are not ready for, don't really believe. Sounds like a movie. But those are the type of criminals that our law enforcement got to deal with. And so thank God that they're getting arrested. Not everybody's like that, but we have some maniacs who are just breaking the law and don't care to do so. They're so used to it that, wow. Unbelievable. I mean, I can't even picture it. Again, when I think of a cannibal guy, I think of a movie. But the guy is real life, and that's what or law enforcement deal with. I know a lot of cops, and I'm glad I didn't become one. I would not be ready for that job. Crazy. All right, let's finish this up. And then my final comments.
U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro just announcing that the FBI has arrested a Washington Post journalist who won a Pulitzer Prize on a charge of possessing child pornography. Thomas Pham Legro was taken into custody after the FBI searched his home yesterday. Agents say they found a folder on his work laptop that had videos of child porn.
That's insane. The guy won a Pulitzer Prize, and look what he's up to. Wow. Thank God he got caught. That's crazy.
They also found a smashed hard drive in the hallway. The Washington Post says they put Legro on leave. We'll keep you updated on the story.
Wow.
Happy anniversary, America. Nope, not the 250th yet. That party's next year. This anniversary is for the auto pen. The day it ran out of ink on CNN.
Dealing with everything we have to do with, look.
Look at Trump. Look at Trump.
We finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
Well, he's right. He did beat Medicare. He beat it to death.
The total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either.
It was so bad, they brought out a doctor.
Joe, you did such a great job. You answered every question. You knew all the facts.
We remember this, but we're not sure Biden does. This kick-started the coup. Kamala got swapped in, and the honeymoon lasted about a month, right up until we found out about the illegal alien sex changes in jail. Oops.
That's crazy.
But even if they'd rolled out Obama for a third term, Democrats were dead meat. New data shows that if more people had turned out, Trump's win would have been even bigger. Kamala was getting smoked, whether she liked it or not, and her hoaxes didn't slap. The only demo who fell for him, single white women in the burbs with TDS.
I think it's just a collection of people that don't like Trump right now. It feels like they're way too poll tested. It feels like that they're trying so hard to sort of keep their suburban voters, and that's been part of their problem. The growth in the Democratic electorate is in the suburbs, wealthy suburbs. And so the growth of the Republican electorate has been in the working class exurbs, and actually in the working class, even in working class urban areas.
Kamala's donors, they think she's a scarecrow in a pantsuit. Quote, Kamala just reminds you we're in this complete esh storm. We're living in a nightmare, and nobody's incredibly pumped. The only thing turning Democrats on these days is a commie in Manhattan.
Whoa.
We call him the Destroyer. And AOC's a proud commie mommy.
We have a choice to listen to that message that people are sending us or not. This isn't just about Mr. Mamdani as an individual. This is about the message that the people of New York City are trying to send to our party.
Swalwell hasn't been this aroused since Fang Fang.
Stylistically, he was always on and he was everywhere. And I've been encouraging my colleagues.
Man. TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. That's all the Democrat got. All right. So a bunch of wealthy people complaining about Trump with Trump derangement syndrome and not even giving him a minute or trying to listen to what he's doing and noticing how it's working. Everything that Trump is doing is working and he knows it. And not only that, he's not scared to go up against the giants, right? The legacy media, the politician. He is not scared to hit back. Something that the regular people can't do, right? We cannot complain or do anything. Back when Biden was in office, they used to cancel people who spoke up against administration or against legacy media. But not anymore. We got Trump fighting hard and just getting wins after win after win. Come on now. Let's be honest. TDS. Hopefully, New York get that guy in, Zoran. If they elect him to run as mayor, he is going to destroy the city. And it will be excellent for people to see how bad our socially is for the country. Starting with New York City, how bad it was or how bad it's going to be if that guy get elected. I mean, my prediction is if he gets elected, free buses, more free stuff, free groceries, free bread, free everything is going to destroy the period because it's going to destroy the city because we know that nothing in life is free. Everything has a cost. And the only people who don't know that is young people because they don't have the experience, right? You tell young people you're going to give them something for free and they could believe you. They're that dumb. Experienced people have heard it all their lives that nothing in life is free. Everything comes at a cost. So this politician offering a bunch of free shit makes you think he is lying. He's lying to everybody. The young people that voted for him got to wake up. If not, the older people got to vote him out or vote for somebody else. Because if that guy wins, going to bring socialism, which we know doesn't work. You know, we want less government, not more government. But that's only experience talking. That's only age talking. That's only older people talking. So we need an adult in the room. That young guy, he knows that offering free stuff will get him some vote. He is now the Democratic candidate. Jeez, I can't believe I said that. He's the Democratic candidate. It goes to show that Democrats don't know what they're doing. And even AOC, they need to go along with what she says to see that it doesn't work. Destroy the party by following AOC and following that guy, Zohan. I think it's Zohan. And just the bad idea put into practice. That definitely would put a stamp on that idea of socialism and showing how it doesn't work. And then everybody running for president or the rest of the country gets to use that as an example and say, look at New York. Look at what's happening in New York. Look how the children dying. How the whole state or the whole city is collapsing. So you know what? Maybe we need that guy to win the mayor race. I don't live in New York anymore, but if I was in New York, I would have voted for him just so we could have the bad experience. Because sometimes we need the experience to show you that theoretically it's been written, socialism has been tried, and it doesn't work. We experienced people know this. We read a history book or two. These young people are not reading it. All they're hearing is, hey, vote for me and I'm going to give you a bunch of free stuff. And they believe them. But let me know what you think. If you're still watching this video, give it a thumbs up. I'm trying to get a co-host to sit here. I'm trying to get Odechi to come and sit. She's just walking around. She refuses to sit on my show. So I'm going to continue to push for her to sit here and give her opinions because we got to be verbal on life. My name is Noel. Over here at Verbal on Life, just trying to be verbal because we got to talk. We can't just sit back and take it, right? It's a problem. They're just going to keep abusing us and just destroying the city. And thank God we got Trump in office because that man is not scared. You know, when you got so much money like Trump, the man is a billionaire, that you could do and say whatever you want. That's on another level. I think it goes to show that money, a lot of people always say money is evil, but if you have enough of it, you can make it work. It could help you do a lot. For Trump, it's getting him to not be scared. He lost all fear now. What can you possibly do to the man? Cannot touch him. Even when he lost that lawsuit, where he lost $454 million lawsuit, that was hilarious. He didn't even flinch. He didn't even care. He knew that wasn't going to go through. You know, when you got that much money, when you're like, yeah, I got sued for $450 million. That ain't going to work. So thank God that he knows the law and that wasn't going to work. But where was I? So I'm trying to run this show. I'm doing 2 channels, Fisticuffs Politics, which is fighting politics. And I'm also doing Verbal on Life. Why? Because I need to be verbal. One of my battles is MS. Shout out to anybody with MS, because one of the abilities you lose is to be verbal. Talking doesn't come that easy. So I can still do it, so I'm going to do it. Then you gotta learn that from Trump, to just push forward. That's it. A lot of people want me to fail. A lot of people want me to just not succeed. So that just gives me a motivation to try even harder. That's what people wanting you to fail does. Or it's supposed to make you push harder and continue to try to succeed. Only because you know there's a small group of people that want you to fail. So it's like, you know what? I'm going to fight this indirectly and just keep pushing forward and not giving up. Today is Saturday. What's today? June 26th. Hopefully I can continue this show every day into the future. And hopefully I can get you to come back and give the videos a thumbs up. That's all I really ask. And hopefully you enjoyed it. Giving it a thumbs up, which will get it out to more people. With that said, see you in the next video. Peace.